pretty good. So, I'm Glenn Means. I'm welcoming you to the Southwest Florida UFO Paranormal Question and Answer e-conference. Today was the day that we were supposed to be holding our conference down in Fort Myers. But as you all know, social distancing, yada, yada, yakety, smackety. So we're doing this online as kind of a fun thing. We will get over these growing pains, and we'll probably do another one of these in a few weeks after I recover. But I want to welcome everybody to the room. We've got quite a few in the room, and they're listening, and we want to welcome all of you. And we're looking forward to actually doing the conference, which has been rescheduled for 1 August. It's going to be a blast. This is the third year that we've done this, and it's just gotten better and better. And my thanks to Mishka, Michelle, and her crew. She's been the hostess with the mostest, and she always makes things happen for everybody, and we love her to death. And also my thanks to Rose, who is not just an author, she's one of the sponsors of the conference. So thank you, Rose, for all that you do for us. You know, we love coming down there every year and sharing the latest and greatest intel on all things that go bump in the night. I'd like to introduce our speakers that we've got today. We're still working on Phyllis Cesar, but if we can get her in here, she's a PhD in. Yay! There she is.
Yay!
Well, we can just we'll try to ignore the echo a little bit, but you sound like you're in a tunnel, Phyllis. But we won't worry about that. We've got your audio. That's great. But as I was saying, Phyllis is here. She's got all kinds of notable accomplishments, but among other things, she's a fellow at the what's the institute name, Phyllis?
Institute for. Oh, my mind just went blank. Give me a second. Sorry, everybody.
That's okay.
I might work all night. I just got home 7 o'clock this morning.
Phyllis has been doing volunteer shifts at a local hospital, helping people out. So applause for Phyllis, because that's really saying something. By the way, that's not my chair creaking. Those are actually my bones, if you hear that in the background. But one of the things that Phyllis does is she is very tuned in with a certain group of alien life form, and she can channel and talk with them. Also, she knows an awful lot about star seeds, and she'll be able to handle any of those questions that you have in the audience. Just shoot us questions via text, message right there in the open, and we will take them as they come. Another speaker that we've got with us is Chris Balzano, and he is one of our legend trippers, and not just a legend tripper. Okay, and for those of you that don't know what a legend tripper is, these are people that read and study and learn about really incredible legends, and then they go there and they try to experience that for themselves. But he's also a single dad, and he drags his daughter with him, and I think that's pretty darn cool. Chris, I don't know how old's your daughter?
My youngest daughter is 10, and my son is 14. He comes along with us too.
Oh, okay. You grabbed your son too. All right. I'm surprised that a 14-year-old would want to go anywhere with his dad.
He's the one who's more hesitant to go, but the last legend trips we went on last week, he was excited about all of them, especially visiting Randy Rhodes' crash site. So it's all
awesome.
about what the story is for.
All right. Well, listen, I want to say hi to the kids, because we gotta teach our kids right. Somewhere down the line, I must have screwed up, because mine are 34 and 29, and they will have nothing to do with me socially. So
yeah,
they turn me loose and say, "That's your thing, Dad. Go."
I'm an English teacher as well, and so I use this as a way to teach history, as a way to teach writing, as a way to teach analyzing folklore to find out if it's crap or not, where the lies are, what it means for people. So interacting with kids, I know this sounds really creepy. Interacting with kids is something that's important to me, but and it's all part of the bigger picture. So.
And right now, as a high school teacher, and also being on self-quarantine, or whatever you want to call whatever status we're in here right now, you deal with kids online just exactly what we're doing here. I mean, you have basically classroom time online. I think that's pretty special.
Yeah, and you know what? It's allowed us to kind of expand things. So people are kind of freaking out about what their kids are going to be learning, but every teacher I know is excited about this, even if it's difficult, and connecting with all this great technology like we're using today to like reach out to them. So it's going to be interesting, but I think it's going to have a lot of positive outcomes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some solid feedback. Was married to a teacher for years. I know the struggles that they go through on a daily, because your job as a teacher does not end when that bell rings. Your job goes on for hours and hours afterwards. It's on Saturdays, it's on Sundays, it's through the holiday breaks. It never stops as a teacher. So my hat's off to all teachers, and especially somebody that's also keeping up a legend tripper experience for your kids. That's wonderful.
And I teach high schoolers, so the hardest thing is going to be figuring out which kids who are doing my work are high and which ones aren't, because usually I can just kind of tell by looking at them, which is, you know, roughly a third of my class at any time. So I'm a much better teacher if you're on drugs. I think that's what they think.
That's cool. Let's see, what else have we got here? We got Rob. Eventually, we'll get on here. Rob Robinson. He's our other legend tripper. I know, Chris. You've got a book out, right?
I have 7 books, and my 8th book is
7
coming
books,
out.
but you don't you just have a new book that's coming right out?
Yeah, it's going to be coming out now that they've rescheduled the conference. I should be able to bring copies of that book for sale in August. So it's coming out.
Outstanding. Okay. Speaking of weird things, we've got it covered here today, folks. If it's something strange, if it's something paranormal, we've pretty much got somebody in the room that can talk to it. You want weird? Mark Muncie's here. Weird Florida, Erie, Florida. He's also an author. And Mark, say howdy.
Hey, how y'all doing? You can find most of us at erieflorida.com. My lovely wife, Carrie Schultz, and I, and our partner, Elizabeth Abbott. We ran a haunted house, the charity haunted house, years. And then we based on local lore and legend. Very similar to the legend trippers, that go into the history and the behind the stories of teachers. So we go on occasions and Bigfoot hunts, and, UFO hunts, and also go in to talk to the experiencers, and interviews, and investigations, and so that's where we come. We've got right now all about Florida, and our 4th book coming out next year.
Could be out there. I'm going to try to set this up in the must studio.
Anywhere. It's sad because Jack was doing something nice for his mother.
Okay, I think we may have just lost Mark. I'm not sure what happened, but we've got suddenly.
I was talking, so I thought.
You still there? Okay, all right. I've got some loud background noise coming from somewhere. So one of the speakers, if there's something going on, try and keep it down so the other folks can be heard. Next person up, Rosemary Rose. You are, like I said, you're one of our angels in the midst. Rose has been a sponsor of this conference since it started 3 years ago, and also an author. Rose, if you want to talk a little bit about what you've got going on, and tell us about your book too.
Can you hear me fairly well?
Absolutely.
Okay. I was inspired to write a book about aliens and conspiracies based on some of the experiences I had back in LaBelle in the early 1990s. And even though it's a book of fiction, a lot of it came from the things I experienced with my mom and my family. And I'm really hoping that more people will get to read my book. It's gotten really good reviews and from those people who've read it, and I love just meeting people. And I'm really sorry that we couldn't meet together today again. But
that's nobody's fault. That's just circumstances of this virus that's going around. And you
absolutely.
guys, you and Michelle and the board, you all did the right thing by postponing the conference to 1 August so that nobody gets sick. We can come together and have fun and be healthy on 1 August down there in Fort Myers. And that's something I wanted to ask you about, Rose, as a sponsor and as someone that's been here at ground zero from the very get-go. How has the conference changed and grown in your eyes?
Well, actually, to be honest, I became a sponsor the second year. The first year I went, I was so impressed by everything that Mark Muncy and Michelle and Phyllis, and at that time I was just there visiting. I hadn't finished my book yet, and this was something I wanted to be a part of and to support in any way I could. Last year was really good. Yeah, last year was incredible, and I think this year in August we'll have the best show yet.
Outstanding. Well, again, we appreciate your support and keep those ideas coming. I know Michelle is there along with Robert. Like I said, Michelle she's the boss. She's the one that makes all the pieces fit and makes the wheels go around, and she takes excellent care of us whenever we come to speak. And how do you do it, Michelle? I don't know if you're ready to talk, but I would just appreciate a couple of words from you, because you're just an awesome person for doing all that you do, and I know that you have a full-time job and a family to take care of as well. Hi. We had her earlier, but she's not there now. Anyway, I hope you guys can hear. We love y'all. It's a fantastic job what you guys do down there for us, and we love coming down there, and we're looking forward to being down there in August. Shout out to some folks that aren't here today. Morgan Beal, he is also an integral part of this conference. He's been doing things for the conference, like, for example, keeping me straight. Morgan is very technically minded when it comes to things like UFOs. He doesn't like to talk about aliens much. He's more of a mechanics type guy, and he's a very big brain. And then you got me, the old guy that chases after aliens and UFOs and has occasional contact with them, and so that's basically the crew that we're dealing with today in this conference, this conference. So anyone has questions, fire away. Send us some questions. Great.
What hotel is going to be hosting it?
Well, the hotel that's actually the conference is going to be at is the Grand. I believe that's the name of it. Somebody.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, right downtown.
That's the one I booked.
Very nice.
So that's good.
Okay, yeah, that's it. That's 1 August. Let's see.
I thought it was Crown Plaza.
Oh, is it? Oh, I'm sorry. The Crown Plaza.
I'm here.
Rob?
Yes.
All right, Rob's with us. Rob, the Crown Plaza is the correct hotel, not the Grand. My bad. Rob, I wanted to talk to you a minute. We're just talking with the speakers for a moment here so that we can get some more questions in from the audience. I've already got several that have come in. You have a particular passion for the big furry fella. I know you're a legend tripper and you go all out. You go after Mothman and everything else, but tell us about one of your more interesting experiences with the big furry fella. You've got a wall full of footprints, by the way, casts that you made. That's pretty impressive.
Well, one of the prints I have is an interesting story. I got it in, the print was made in 1976 up in near Brooksville in a place called Hog Island, where a gentleman, he was a Vietnam vet, living by himself. My friend who later, was visiting his grandparents, later became friends with the guy. But anyway, he had something that was going through he was growing marijuana in the back of his house. And something at night was trampling through his little farm. And he would find these tracks, and a couple times he got glimpses of it as it was running off, because he would hear it out there, and he'd run out there with a flashlight, and he would see it, take off into the swamps. But he went ahead and took some prints and he died. I think it was in 19. I forget when he actually died, but a friend of mine got a hold of me, and I came over to see him in Tampa, and he pulled out this wooden box and showed me these prints, and he had been the executor of this guy's estate, and he got a hold of the castings. Well, anyway, the left foot was kind of smashed, and it kind of pulverized to where we couldn't really do anything with it. But the right foot was actually pretty good, and he let me make a copy of it. And it's 14 inches long, and I like to show this one because a lot of people, for some misconception, are under the impression that the animal down here, known as a skunk ape, is 6 foot and under as far as the height. And I show this casting to show that the animal is in fact, about the same height as the one, the Bigfoot or Sasquatch that's seen over on the West Coast.
Yeah, there seems to be a strange thing that happens to wildlife down here in Florida. Unless you're a snake or an alligator, most wildlife in Florida, like for example, the Florida deer, is the size of a large dog.
That's correct.
It's still going to mess your car up if you hit it on the highway, but that makes sense that the skunk ape would be, a bit smaller than. Although there have been reports dating back into the 17 and 1800s from explorers that encountered some rather large beasts, especially around. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, looking at newspaper reports back in the 70s and 80s, the animal is generally about 8 foot tall.
Right. And I can speak to that from a former life of mine. I spent a lot of time flying over Florida. And yes, Amy, most of us, if not all of us, I think all of us that are talking right now are in Florida. Amy from the line had asked that question earlier. But I've done a lot of flying over Florida at night using some very, very, very high-tech and classified equipment. And I can tell you for a fact that they're out there. And I and crew members have seen them with me, and they're real. They're out there, and they don't exactly fit in with the rest of the fauna when we're flying around. We can spot them pretty quick, and if we do spot them, we have to go cold. We can't use any of our systems, and that's about all I can say to that. I've got to wait 8 more years before I can write my book. I've got a 25-year non-disclosure agreement with the U.S. government. I kind of like my retirement check.
Well, I'm just finishing up my book now.
That's right. You should have your book. Your book will be out as well by the time we have the conference, right? 1 August?
Actually, October.
Okay, October. All right. Well, you can at least bring us a mock-up, and but we're looking forward to getting all these books out there so we can check them out. Rose's book has been out for a little bit, and Chris has 7 books, right, Chris, so far?
Yeah, 7, not 17.
So far,
17,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm still using, monosyllabic terms in my notes so that I can try and think of or remember the things that I need to write about 8 years from now. Let's see, and also hi to Carrie. Carrie is Mark's partner in crime, and she's a heck of an illustrator. Check out the they're just flipping through that. I remember this when I was looking at Mark at your book. Was that last year or the year before? Flipping through there and seeing all the strange, bizarre things that you guys and it's on Carrie to illustrate that stuff.
Yeah, he gets the. We go to talk to interview the people and get the descriptions, and she kind of has to be like a police sketch artist. So she does research on the subject. She gets the, what is it, the public perception images, like what it's supposed to look like. But then she goes with the original documentation and gets a completely different take. And so somewhere she has to meet that stuff in the middle, and it's incredible what she does. Some of the stuff we're doing for the new Erie Appalachian book we're working on, I think we've got some new takes on some of the classic, Flatwoods Monster and Mothman and stuff that I think you're all going to really enjoy.
Wow. Yeah. And for those of you that have never spent any time in the Appalachians, first of all, beautiful country, absolutely stunning. The mountains, the trees, the deep wood forest. And of course, when you got those kind of settings, you tend to collect some rather unusual life forms. So, yeah, talk to these legend trippers. They'll tell you. Mark Muncy will tell you. There's weird stuff out there, and those of us that have encountered those things,
Yeah, Carrie,
it changes your life.
working with Rob on his new book, hopefully. So
Outstanding. So there's collaboration going on between the different speakers too. I was not aware of that. That's great. I'm glad. People need to work together.
Glenn, this
Yes.
is Phyllis.
Hey, Phyllis.
Hi. Last year, several of us went to a place in Sarasota doing the skunk ape hunt, and I will have pictures of the footprints we took and some other things about the event in August when I'm there.
they found some.
I remember when you went to that, and I think Stacy was part of that, and Stacy Brown, who can't join us, but yeah, there was several people that were involved in that, and I seem to recall you had a pretty good experience.
Oh, it was wonderful. As a psychic, I communicated with him, but unfortunately, because it was a personal experience, it's not solid proof.
Right, understood. Oh man. Well, listen, for those of you in the audience that have not heard of these people or heard of their stories, this is why we do this conference, is to bring all these people and experiences together so that they can get up there and they can talk to y'all, and plus, when they're not on stage telling their stories, they're sitting at their booth, at their table, and you can just walk by and ask them questions. We can't do that today. The conference was scheduled today, as y'all know, but this is what we're doing instead. We're bringing most of our speakers together online so that, if you have questions, fire away. I had intended to talk about this being 2020, the year.
Hello?
Hello?
I think we lost Glenn.
Hello?
All right, who's taking up hosting duties?
Who's going to be speaking about the paranormal at the conference?
We will be speaking about paranormal stuff, Braxton, in April.
Oh, yay!
Hey, Braxton's
Hello.
here. April's here, and Glenn's back. I don't know. There was this shadow person that just came over and switched off my mic. I don't know what. Oh, I know what. It was the government guy. I started to talk. I was getting ready to talk about the Secret Space Force, and he knew it. He just came over and switched my mic off. So, yeah, April and Braxton, you're here, and I hadn't given you the opportunity to yak it up a little bit. April is probably the most gifted medium I know, if not the, then one of the most. And she's an incredible talent. And she also runs the Spirit Posse, which is a pretty cool bunch of people. I am very fortunate to be a member of. And Braxton, God love him, he's a ghost hunter, and he's got all kinds of toys. But basically, April tells him where to look, and then he finds them. So. All right, Braxton, speak up for yourself, man.
hey, everybody. Yeah, it's kind of cool being married to a psychic medium, because that's really my best tool in my arsenal, to tell you the truth.
Braxton, they don't like to be called tools. I just thought I'd let you know that. Love you, April.
Unfortunately, that's normally when I'm brought in.
Yeah, because those tools, and for those of you that aren't ghost hunters or not familiar with paranormal investigations, and I know just about all of our speakers are in one aspect or another, some form of investigator, whether it's investigating legend trippers or legend tripping, strange places, strange things. A lot of the stuff that is used to hunt for ghosts and get some sort of energy off of paranormal experiences is the same kind of stuff that I used to use in MUFON. Different types of energy readers that will tell me that this is, there's a really powerful magnetic force here. A lot of these things kind of cross over into each other's territory. Braxton, you've got just about every piece of equipment I've ever seen used for paranormal investigations and ghost hunting. I know you used a lot of that stuff when we were up there at the Hotel Casadega, which April is a regular speaker at, and a regular. You've got a regular gig going there as a medium, right?
I do. I've been there a little over 2 years, and I do classes, workshops. We do a paranormal event there where we bring the public in, because the hotel itself is filled with vortexes and portals, and it's a really powerful environment where I can bring people in. I'm comfortable with the energy, I know what's there, and I can bring people in and work with them and their natural abilities, because each of us have abilities, and I teach people how to connect with energy using intuition, using your abilities. And then Braxton brings in the batteries and the electronics. And the hotel's a pretty neat place. Casadega is a pretty powerful place.
And it is. I had the good fortune of joining you on one of those expeditions at Hotel Casadega. Had some incredible experiences, and we'll never
you were
forget it. And I look
amazing.
forward to the next one. Well, I'm glad I was along for the ride. I got to help some people, got to work with some shamans. Love all you guys. The whole thing was just a great experience. Brax, I want to talk to you for a second about what, in your opinion, as a ghost hunter, is your most effective tool or apparatus, other than April, that you use when you're investigating spirits?
Well, I'm not biased or anything, but I work very closely with Paranologies, and I used to actually build the equipment when Paranologies was first getting off the ground, and now you can see their equipment on almost every single ghost show that there is on TV. And my favorite actually in my arsenal is the periscope, whether it be the regular periscope or the 360. It is pretty amazing. I've gotten so many responses from using that. And then without any electronics, our dowsing rods are the second favorite that I use and pull out.
Yeah.
We actually make these dowsing rods, so they are divinely guided, and they're very good for spirit communication, but using them together is just amazing. So I would say the Paranologies periscope.
Outstanding. And yes, I can speak to the dowsing rods. My personal dowsing rods that were made and given to me, April, you remember, they're at the Hotel Casadega by you.
Yes.
They're sitting right here on my marble table next to me, and I do use them. I don't know if you remember the first time I picked them up, what happened, but
yours were just flying all over the place.
Like helicopters.
well, that may have something to do with the fact that I'm a medical Reiki master, and I'm always charged up with a lot of energy. So it was pretty crazy, but I loved it, and they're sitting right here in front of me. As a matter of fact, it's great. Had some questions, and yeah, I'm still getting a couple of private
Are
channel
you going to be
questions about.
doing discussing Reiki at the conference?
I can. My talk is more along the lines of this is in my mind, this is the year of disclosure. This is the year. A lot of things are happening right now behind the scenes. There are a lot of patents that are being revealed that are held by either the U.S. government or by contracted companies that work for the government that are coming out now. Things like patents for fusion drives for engines that are already out there. Designs of spacecraft that some people have seen and thought they were UFOs. We're talking black triangles here. If you see a black triangle, the chances are pretty good it's not alien, it's ours. And there's a lot more that's going to be coming out this year that's being talked about, among which are aliens. I have it on fairly good authority from some of my contacts that there will be some very public alien landings on this planet, around the planet, and they're completely non-hostile, and when they come out, they're going to look a lot like you and me. Well, hopefully more like you than like me, but I don't want them looking like a 62-year-old man that needs a shave. But the point is, there are a lot of human type creatures out there that are very, very much like us. So that's something that we all need to kind of get our heads wrapped around, and because that's coming, and it's coming this year. And hopefully by August, I won't have to reveal that because it's already going to be a past event. And silence. A lot of, and April as a medium, I think you knew that there were some big things coming. So I don't know how much you want to talk about that, but I know that I've had several contacts, both human and other, that have let me know that that's coming this year.
Yeah, I really just I read energy. I just sit there, I hold space, and I'm used to energy, human, whether in body or not. I'm used to the other side. I'm used to angels and spirit guides. There is an increase in awareness and in galactic presence lately, which is a new vibration to me. So some of you have actually had personal experiences. Some of you have actually dealt with abductions yourself. I have not. And so me tapping into and literally reading this vibration, this new vibration, it's brand new to me. So I know, Glenn, I've asked you a few times, what is this stuff I'm picking up? Because it's not lower vibrational. It isn't human. It's not elemental. And so it is interesting to identify this energy that is present. I know some people in our realm of the paranormal, especially with spirit and ghosts, when we say alien, people go, "Oh, I'm out of here." But I do think, especially this year, 2020, it is important to expand our awareness, to remove labels, and to understand that there is a lot shifting right now. A lot is shifting, and I do think that these landings, it's not just going to be for me where I go, oh my goodness. I think a lot of us are going to be really surprised with how energy transforms and shifts over the next 3 to 4 years.
That's happening today with a lot of different businesses and industry. They're waking up to the fact that they can do things with energy that they never realized that they thought they could, but it's all old stuff. I mean, for example, the Reiki that I do, the Japanese gave it the name Reiki and they claimed it as theirs, but honestly, it comes from the mountains of Tibet. The Tibetan monks have been doing it for thousands of years. If you check with ancient Chinese histories that go back 20,000 years, they talked about all of the energy healings and energy uses for construction. And some of you may know the Coral Castle down there in just south of Miami in Homestead.
Oh, I've been there. Yeah, I've actually done readings there.
Yes, I would imagine so, because I know when I went down to Coral Castle the first time, the energy was off the charts. Just from, you've got giant, multi-ton pieces of stone that this little guy that was, 5'4", 5'5", Edward Lehanen, or whatever his last name was, could manipulate through sound. And we know this because little kids would watch him work at night. He would whistle and hum, and giant pieces of rock would come out of the ground and go into place where he directed them.
It's really fascinating.
I think my favorite part of it is that he moved the whole thing when neighbors started getting too close, and he had an old Ford F-150, and when he would load these giant stones and move them in this old Ford pickup truck. Imagine anybody trying to do that even with a modern vehicle, and see how that would work.
One of the things I wanted to say as a reader, I have special cards with space themes, and I've been channeling several different races, and they speak through me, and I can speak about 5 different languages. And that's one of the things I want to share at the event in August.
Did we lose Glenn again?
I don't know. Glenn, are you there?
Hello.
We lost him.
So Phyllis, with you being able to speak different languages, it's interesting because I can identify Italian and Spanish, but I've never heard alien language.
Well, the first UFO con, the Pleiadians came through, and I spoke Pleiadian to the audience. And I had several people come up to me later on with tears in their eyes because they knew exactly what I was saying and felt it was directed right at them. And of course, I translated into English when I was done. So I was already told that they were going to speak to me again when I'm doing my talk on starseed. So hopefully, maybe a couple others will come through too.
Well, I look forward to listening to you.
Thanks, April, for jumping in there. I have no idea why that's happened twice now. I wasn't talking about the secret space program that time, and everything just shut down on me. So, you okay, April? Mark?
Yeah,
check
well,
on
I
her.
just keep getting nervous because I'm like, Glenn, this
Braxton.
is not the time to be abducted on live, on air.
No, I've been abducted in some strange places. I was abducted right out of my car en route to a hospital in Indianapolis to work on someone, and I was not aware of it because when you're abducted, you're kind of not aware. Sometimes I am, and I got to the hospital 2.5 hours later, and
Wow.
and it was like, where have you been? And I said, what do you mean, where have I been? He said, you were supposed to be here 2.5 hours ago. I had no idea that I had lost 2.5 hours. But I was just driving down the road, and the last thing I remember seeing was an old wolf-type dog laying in the middle of the road on a sunny back county road outside Indianapolis. And I slowed my car down and rolled the window down, and I asked him to, hey, buddy, please get off the road. You're going to get hit. Somebody's going to come along flying down these roads and hit you. And he got up, and he started to walk off into the cornfield, and I thought I just drove on to the hospital, but apparently somewhere in there, I lost 2.5 hours. So yeah, fun times.
So I have a question for all of you guys. Braxton and I, we are involved in so many different types of paranormal events. Potographs for Pooches, Mid-South Paranormal, Kentucky. And so the Southwest Florida UFO and Paracon is very new. This would be our second year being involved. And it's interesting because so much of ghost hunting and that arena is not familiar with all of this stuff. And so hearing you talk and share is pretty interesting to me because this is so different for us where it is not different for you. So what can you tell us and people that do ghost hunt and are not open or understand abductions, UFOs, alien life forms? What can you say to enlighten us a little bit so that we understand and can embrace it instead of shut it away because it is so unknown?
One of the things
go ahead.
learned doing the books is that earlier on we were doing this just a few years ago. The Bigfoot people like the psychic medium. The psychic mediums didn't like the UFO people. UFO people didn't go in with the ghost hunters. And now we're starting to get into this era of disclosure we discussed, the Navy releasing the tapes, and with all the paranormal shows on television being the top ratings things. I mean, look at History Channel. How many history shows do you see? You see, tons of dead files and ancient aliens and stuff. It's because of that we're starting to realize there's a lot more connection between these phenomena, and they're starting to talk more. And we're realizing things like Bigfoot footprints that just disappear, or the green flashes that appear before paranormal flaps. Sometimes tie in with UFOs, sometimes tie in with Bigfoot, sometimes tie in with ghosts. And so we're starting to realize that maybe there is some connections between all of them.
Yes.
And for that, that alone in these last few years has been really exciting in this field of research.
I love that you said that because in our 10 plus years of actually working hauntings, paranormal cases. There are times I actually was blessed to spend a few evenings in the basement of the Horsefly Chronicles case in Jersey, I believe it is in Jersey. We were on a road trip, and when we were down there, it's funny because there are times where I have encountered a darker energy, and there are times where I can't identify it is not necessarily demonic or elemental. And, I always tell Braxton, when we get these EVPs, I think so many people chalk it up to only either, human or demonic or elemental. And I have told him, I said, sometimes I feel that some of the stuff we could actually be, intercepting beings that are a lot smarter, knowing that, that we're open and we're thinking we're talking just to spirits. But, we very well, in so many of these cases, it could be alien.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's
Yeah.
interesting, April.
And I think
one of the things,
going off of what Mark said, I think traditionally an unexplained experience was always viewed through whatever filter the viewer had, right? Whoever was experiencing it, whether they believed in UFOs, if they believed in cryptids, if they believed in darker spirits, or if they believed, that's what they saw it as, and that's how they communicated to us as reporters or us who were looking into it. And now as that gets mixed, we start to realize that there are undefined things that we've been trying to put into nice categories for years, and those categories might not exist anymore.
Well said.
Very true. And I can add to that. The folks that I'm working with now up here in Pensacola, Second Sight Paranormal, they started out as a ghost hunting team, and they're now on their TV shows now on Netflix and what's the other one? Amazon Prime, and they've been doing some really good stuff. Last weekend, 2 weekends ago, they went to investigate a very, very haunted part of Pensacola called the Bluffs, where a lot of people have been murdered. A lot of people have committed suicide. It's a very tall cliff area that's out over the Escambia Bay, and there's a train track involved. And
my road trip there was canceled.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, wait. I need to get all you people up here to the Panhandle. Okay, I've been coming down there to the Fort Myers area every year. I need to get y'all up to the Panhandle because there's some wild stuff that goes on up here.
That was one of the places we were planning on going before we had to shorten the trip.
Yeah, but they encountered the whole thing. I would say there was, of the 8 people there, 6 of them were affected by a combination of negative energies. There were some malevolent spirits hanging around there, playing tricks on them and doing things. And that was an overnight thing, and it took a lot of energy to keep those folks going. I was constantly doing Reiki on them just to keep them upright because they were just getting hit constantly. And people ask, well, what about you? I said, well, when you're especially a medical Reiki master, I go into operating rooms and do Reiki on patients while they're being cut.
Wow.
Yeah. But I'm also a hypnotist, so after they wake up, I can make them forget whatever happened. So I'm joking, of course. There's a lot of really good uses for hypnosis, and the reason I got into it was because as an alien abductee, I've been there, and I've also been hypnotized and regressed and gone through those experiences, and I had to learn it so that I could do it for other people too. But to get back to what we were talking about, the energies that you encounter in these types of spaces, whether it's looking for Squatch or you're dealing with Mothman or you're just in the woods, on your own. I've got good friends. One's a forest ranger, and one of her best things to do is she's a forest ranger, but what does she do on her days off? She goes into the forest. And there are times when you encounter things energy-wise that cannot be explained on a typical human scientific level.
Exactly.
And that's where we all come in, and we're all figuring that out, April. We're all figuring out that when we work together, we get a lot more done.
Absolutely.
And this conference has done that. This conference has been a high water mark for that. I think it's wonderful.
I agree. And I love that because, just bringing that awareness to so many of our colleagues, investigators, paranormal teams, some of our celebrity friends that are on these shows, It's important to keep in mind that as investigators, you want to be open-minded. Don't be so limited, because then you're limiting your evidence. You know, you're limiting what we are able to interact with and even define. You know, I do know that some of these locations and cases that we've worked, you know, families are nervous and scared, and 99% of the time it is human, and it's just, you know, Uncle Ed that is a little upset and doesn't want to leave his garage. But you know, I do think that we're flowing into a really beautiful period of time where it is unity, it is inclusion. Even during this time of social distancing, I'm seeing more and more people come together. And so I love the Southwest Florida UFO Paracon event, because that actually, to me, is next level Paracons. You know, it's including everybody. And that's what paranormal means. It's not just ghosts or squatches. It is, I just thought of Bobo. I don't know why. But I just, it is everything that is not understood. And that includes everything.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and if you break down the word, it's everything that's above and beyond normal, paranormal. And that's a lot of what we all deal with on a daily basis. It's a part of our life.
Yeah.
And Rose, for speaking to you as a fellow person of knowledge of certain things, even though your book is fictional. And I have another friend who was involved with the secret space program, and he also wrote a fictional book about what life might be like if there were such a thing as a secret space force. He wrote that as a fictional science fiction and action book, and I plan on bringing that. I tried to get him to come to the conference, but he's not used to being out among the public yet. So, but he's a good guy, and so Rose, I know you know what I'm talking about. You've had experiences that were above and beyond, and probably also involved members of your family, older members of your family, different generations. I've had the same thing going on for years.
Yeah, it's I had a lot of activity when I lived in LaBelle. We had a lot of sightings and things we just could not explain. My mother and I were driving to work one day, and there was this just giant flash of light that was silent, and it filled the vehicle. And then we like lost time, and then the next thing we know, we're driving down the road again. It was the most bizarre and also like spiritual thing I think I've ever witnessed.
It's when you say spiritual, that people really don't understand. When you have that experience, it's beyond spiritual. I know people that it has shaken them to their core.
It's unexplainable, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yes, ghosts have been around for you know, in as far as, you know, common. What would you help me out, ghost people? Lore, whatever. Thousands of years, people have been writing about ghosts. All right, literally, Native American tribes that, you know, can tell you stories. Oh, you want to read a story that is based on Native American lore? Read the Skinwalker Ranch. Yeah, the hunt for the Skinwalker. That will make you think twice about becoming a paranormal investigator. I knew some of those guys.
Hey, Glenn.
What's that? Yeah.
Hey, Glenn, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, tonight on Travel Channel, Ancient Aliens and The Unexplained are both doing segments on Skinwalker Ranch.
Okay, that is great news, Rob. Thanks for passing that on, because I was unaware of that. See, this is why we work together. You know, we got Squatch people talking to UFO people, talking to spiritual mediums, talking to, you know, alien channelers. This is a wonderful thing about this conference. I don't see this at any other conference, and that's why I quit going to big conferences. For those of you that have never been to one of these great big super conferences, like the one in Los Angeles, I'll just pick on Los Angeles for a second. I used to be a speaker at the Los Angeles UFO Con. It was crazy. It was insane. Thousands of people crammed into, you know, a huge auditorium. and you couldn't even think in there because it was just a din. And as a speaker, I never got to speak in person to just people other than getting up there in front of the microphone and talking to thousands of people at one time. And what I like about the little conferences like Southwest Florida is, you know what? We're all friends there, and everybody knows each other. And I see some of the same faces every year that come through in the audience, and they're always there, and it's great. And I like that because you feel like you're just one part of one big happy family that has a lot of questions and has experiences that they can't explain, and we all get together and we talk about it, especially around the pool after the conference is over.
I agree, because we went to we decided to start doing more smaller conferences last year, and we did the Lizard Man Festival up in South Carolina, and that was amazing. When Elvis is your opening act, you know you've got a great conference. And
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I can remember little conferences that used to be little that are big now, and they're
like
it's not the same anymore. Yeah, Mothman, Ozark. The Ozark conference used to be a great little conference, and now it's gotten to the point where it's almost the size of LA and the Las Vegas conference and the World UFO conference. I don't go to those anymore because I would much rather be with y'all and be with people that are like-minded and are open to instead of just people that just want to buy a ticket, come in and listen to speakers. It's great having that interaction with people.
One in Orlando in November,
right.
And the prime seats were $79, and then they bumped up this year. They won over $300 for the same seats, even though it's now 2 days instead of one. They just priced everybody right out of attending. That's another reason I love this one.
It's the same way, fellas. It's just, and it's they're shooting themselves in the head. It's become more about a money thing and how much can we get out of these people than about a sharing experience. And I think that is probably the most important aspect of the Southwest Florida UFO and Paranormal Conference is the sharing aspect.
A lot of them were overpricing because they had to pay the speakers. They were getting, the guys from Ancient Aliens and stuff like that. And it's like, there's a lot of other experts you could get out there that just don't happen to have a history connection.
Right, you're absolutely right. And I know apart last year that was supposed to be in Tallahassee, Florida. That was the first time a UFO and Paranormal Conference was going to be held in Tallahassee, and everybody was excited because that's the state capital. But it fell apart because, well, let's face it, the high-end speakers that they got charged so much that they just couldn't make it go, and it fell apart. So it never happened. Hey, we're almost out of time. So before we're out of time, I want to go around. Some of us have already gotten to tell some personal stories. Phyllis, you and I shared a moment, and I'm going to bring this up and see if I get snorked again, see if I get knocked off the air. But do you remember, I think it was last year, after the conference was over, you came to me and you told me something that you had been channeled. Someone had contacted you, one of your alien friends, and you told me something to watch out for. Do you remember that?
Absolutely. As you're talking about it, my whole body is filled up with chills and goosebumps. So Spirit is speaking to me again. But yeah, it was pretty intense about that black car.
Yep,
What's that?
I took that information about the black car, and I was driving home, and it was a couple days later. I actually went to visit family in Fort Walton Beach, and at the time I was living at my lake house in Georgia, on the Georgia-Florida state line. So. And I was on a back road because I like to travel back roads because you see and experience things on back roads you don't see on interstates. And those of you.
They took it again.
Well, that's a good way to stop them from talking about it.
Yep.
Stop hanging out with angry
It's happened a few times. When we've been on the phone, we've had some things happen like that.
I was interviewing a guy about the Crestview sighting way back, and from the 60s, and we were just talking on the phone the other day, and there was like a party line effect where we got suddenly like 3 other people got on the call, no idea how that happened, and we were just both like, it's funny, we just brought up the Men in Black and that happened.
Wow.
That's amazing. Just real quick, everybody. Last Saturday, I was on the Travel Channel Haunted Hospitals episode, and I wanted to talk about it at the conference too, because what I was interviewed about and what the show ended up showing was almost two different things entirely. So if anybody saw me last week on Haunted Hospitals, believe me, stuff didn't happen the way they said.
No, that's the problem, Phyllis. The TV shows that you see, whether it's History, Discovery, and I've been on them as well multiple times. They don't want you to tell your story. They want you to tell your story their way, and they change it. And that's why I did a few episodes of UFO hunters, and I did some other things on History Channel and Discovery Channel, and they wanted it to fit their neat little paradigm. If it didn't fit, then they would make it fit. And so that's why now you know why I don't do large conferences, and now you know why I don't do TV anymore.
Well, I'm glad they didn't tell anybody I was a psychic, because the way they had me acting with the actress, I never would have been screaming and yelling and running in fear. I'd be say, bring it on, and having a great time. So they didn't make me look like a total fool.
Okay, one of you that's got a Bigfoot story, spit it out. We're almost out of time here, and I just wanted to give somebody a big chance for a
story. We lost you on the black car.
Oh, the black car. Oh, I was a log truck coming at me around a corner, and a large black car pulled out, and there was nowhere for me to go but the shoulder. And I was ready for it because I had that warning in my head. I saw a black car, and I dove for the shoulder. The black car went by me. I looked, and there was nobody driving it. There was absolutely no one in the car.
Are you sure it wasn't a really small old lady?
An umbrella, and there was music. I'll get you, my pretty. Many experiences that we like to sit around the pool and share, and that's one of the nice things that don't get advertised about the conference. But the speakers getting together after the show is over and after dinner, and we just gather organically around the pool and we share stories. And man, that's probably the most exciting of all. That's just wonderful. It's a lot of fun. Okay, Bigfoot story. Bigfoot story. Anybody jump in there?
Well, I got a story. It's kind of Bigfoot. It's kind of funny.
Okay, go for it, Rob.
All right, so a while back, I got a call from a gentleman. He told me his area where he found footprints and stuff, and it's over near Avon Park. So I went out there. I met up with him, had another friend of mine, and we started walking the trails, and we were walking around, and we came up to this one intersection. There was this gentleman sitting there, and he had this Elvis Presley type haircut, and yeah, you could see that he was just taking a breath. What?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, anyway, he was taking a break. So the guy who took us out there, he just looked at him and said, "Hey," and the guy said, "Hey," he goes, You haven't seen anything weird out here?" And he goes, "Other than you coming up and asking me that? No, I haven't." So we parted ways with the gentleman, and we were walking up. And I glanced back, and I saw that the Elvis gentleman get up, and I saw him walk off. And the guy that took us out there looks over at us and goes, "We did talk to somebody back there, didn't we?" And I'm going to have fun with this guy, So I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "We were talking to some guy back there." He goes, "There was nobody back there." And my friend with me, he caught on to what I was doing. He goes, "Yeah, dude, it's just the three of us out here." And he's going, I said, "Well, what happened?" He goes, "Well, there was a guy sitting back there." I said, "Well, what did he look like?" He goes, "Well, he looked like Elvis." I said, "Oh, yeah, right. You saw the ghost of Elvis sitting back there." He goes, "No, serious. I saw him. I didn't hear him talking to him." I said, "I thought you were talking to us, dude." I said, "Look, there's nobody back there." And he's like, "Oh, my God, I've never had this happen before." And I said, I think you need to go get looked at, dude, because there was nobody back there. There was just the three of us." And he's just like, oh. And my friend, it was just, he had to turn away and stop laughing for this guy. And we never did let him know that we had, we admit we were screwing with him. But I don't know. I wanted to throw that story in there just to be a little lighthearted on some of the stuff that we do when we go out there. Was that mean to do that to that guy? Yeah, probably.
That's a great point, Rob. Is that, people think we're all serious and, down to earth and everything. No, I don't care whether I'm hunting ghosts with Braxton in April or whether I'm out in the woods with you, or, we have fun. We have a good time.
Yes.
And we've had a good time here today. I would like to thank all of the people that have logged in and signed in. I've lost track of the numbers, but it's we got a lot of folks listening, and we thank you for being here. We may decide to go and do this again in a couple of months. The show isn't until August, so we might do another one of these down the road between now and 1 August. But I'd like to thank all of our speakers for being here and joining us and sharing information and stories. And especially I want to thank people, again, like Michelle and her husband, Robert, and people like Rose that make this show happen. We all, I think all of us that have been speakers at this conference can agree that we all feel like we're being treated like family. Glenn, go do the dishes. April, sweep up that rug.
Well, I appreciate you, Glenn, for putting this together.
Yes.
Oh, you know what? We had fun with this because this is a first. We've never done this before, and we had some bumps and bruises, but overall, I think it was a great success. And I'm just glad that we could all get together and spend some time, because I miss you guys. I miss you guys.
Well, we love all of you, and we are honored to connect with you guys again in August. We think the work that you do is important, phenomenal, and you guys are just great people. So thank you for having Braxton and I a part of this today.
Absolutely.
At Erie, Florida, and the soon-to-be Erie travel TV show. We promise not to change narratives on that one. We're excited to be a part of it too. We love you guys.
All right.
I want to say
go ahead.
a special thank you for Michelle, because when I approached her 3 years ago to do this, she agreed, and you can see how it exploded since the past 3 years.
Yes. Thank you, Michelle.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Phyllis.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Michelle. Hey, Mark, I'll get a hold of you soon and talk to Terry.
Oh yeah, Carrie is here to work on it. Yep, definitely.
And by the way, one last word on Michelle. For those of you that don't know, they do like 2 or 3 other conferences as well. So I don't know how she still has a hair on her head. I would have pulled all mine out a long time ago. But thank you all for joining us today, and we look forward to being able to do this again, maybe a couple months from now after the drugs wear off, and we'll see if we can't get a little cleaner audio. But this is being recorded. It will be uploaded to the cloud, and we will pass the link so that y'all can give it a listen, or people that missed it and couldn't listen can plug it in and listen to it. I had a great time, a wild time, of course, with you people. It's always fun, and I'm looking forward to the conference in 1 August. And y'all stay healthy, stay well, and help each other out like you always do. Thank you.